All right, guys, welcome back to the Green Zone. This is episode 38. It will be week 6 of the NFL. That's right, had to think there for a moment. Week 6 of the NFL, the 2020 season. We're going to do our head-to-head pick'ems. That is where I'm going to tell you who's going to win in the straight-up matches without spreads. We'll dip into our betting segment, and then we'll finally finish it up with our daily fantasy advice, where I'll give you 3 players from every position, like we always do. So, without any further ado, let's do our music here, and let's kick it off. All right, last week, guys, we went 7-4 on our head-to-head pick'ems. That's actually not what we're shooting for. It was our worst week, all around our worst week, actually. So we're going to have to change a few things, but week 5 was a little bit of an outlier. We've done really well on our head-to-heads as the matchups have been fairly easy for us to pick them, so let's continue to do that. First up, we got the Texans and the Titans, guys. I think the Titans have found their winning ways. Yes, they're undefeated, but they looked a lot better in last week's game against the Bills, Tuesday's game, Tuesday Night Football. How did everybody like that? I know I did. Gave me a little something to watch on Tuesday, right? Anyways, the Titans look good against the Bills. Somebody had to lose their first game of the season there, and it was the Bills as Tannehill and the Titans locked it down. Derrick Henry is running and doing his thing, and A.J. Brown is back. So go ahead and give me the Titans continuing their winning ways against the Texans. I know the Texans won this last week, but I think that's a little bit of an outlier as the Jacksonville Jaguars are just a terrible team. So, next we got the Ravens at the Eagles, guys. The Ravens are coming off of a good victory against the Bengals. They're going to do it against another subpar team, and that being the Eagles. The Eagles aren't going to have enough offense, especially against this Ravens defense that is starting to kind of kick things in gear and be the same Ravens D that they usually are. So, give me the Ravens in that one. Next, Falcons at Vikings, guys. These are two very unpredictable teams. You got the Vikings, who I think have been a little bit of a schedule victim early in the year. They've had some tough matchups. They lose last week by 1 point to the New Orleans Saints, a Saints team who everybody has at least going to the NFC Championship game or even deeper. Saints are a favorite is what I'm trying to say there. So the Vikings, you know, they've had a tough schedule and they've barely lost a couple of games. I'm going to say that they beat the Falcons. The Falcons are a team that they're suffering through injury. They don't have a defense to be spoken of. On top of that, Ryan's getting long in the tooth. So they're losing not only the players on in depth at defense, but also on offense there as they're missing Julio Jones. Even if he comes back, he hasn't been the same this year. Calvin Ridley's great. But I think he thrives off of having double coverage sometimes on Julio. I know he can do his own thing. I know he can stand alone. I like Calvin Ridley. All I'm saying is I don't think the Falcons have enough against the Vikings. I think the Vikings get it done. Neither of these two teams are that great. Next, Browns at Steelers, guys. Browns I did not believe in. I did not pick them to win last week. You guys know that. I thought that the Colts would beat them. So far from what I've seen from the Browns is they start to win until they go against a decent or good defense. Last week they proved me wrong and they beat a #1 rush defense in the Indianapolis Colts. Now they go against the Steelers, another solid defense. So give me the Steelers in this one. I'm still not buying into the Browns, guys. I'm going to say the Steelers are undefeated, and they stay that way against this Browns team. It's a huge divisional matchup for these two teams. I think the Steelers win, though. I'm just not buying into the Browns yet. They're going to have to prove me wrong 2 weeks in a row. Next, we got the Bengals at the Colts, guys. Joe Burrows is putting up some pretty good numbers, but he's not getting W's. So that's going to continue this week as well as they go against the Colts. I think the Colts bounce back. You saw how much it bothered Phillip Rivers to lose last week's big matchup against the Browns. I think the Colts altogether as a team bounce back and do it big against the Bengals. Lions at the Jaguars game in a game where it's the battle of the shits, guys. Nobody cares about either of these teams. There are a couple of cats going at it. Rawr. I'm going to go ahead and say that the Lions beat the Jaguars because Lions are cooler than Jaguars, but also the Jaguars suck. And they screwed us last week when we thought that they could possibly, with the point spreads or points, beat. I think it was I don't care. It's last week. It doesn't matter. We bet on them. They screwed us. They're done. They're out of my heart. I hate them forever. Moving on. Bears at Panthers. The Bears, I think, will actually win this game, guys. I know that the Panthers kind of found a little bit of a groove last week. Mike Davis is doing his thing. Teddy Bridgewater's starting to gel with that Panthers offense, but it's not going to be enough against that Bears defense, in my humble opinion. I just think that Nick Foles, he does enough. He hasn't thrown for over 300 yards yet this entire season. I know he's only started a couple of games, but it's not the Nick Foles that you're going to see with the run-pass option type guy and some pretty good numbers that'll help you in fantasy and everything else like that. It's going to be a Nick Foles that's just more of a game manager, if you will. So give me the Bears and that defense beating the Panthers and slowing them down like you saw in the beginning of the season. We got the Washington football team at the Giants, guys. This one's a toss-up as well. Neither team is good. Neither team matters. Give me the Washington football team just because they've got a better defense. I'm not really sure, if the Giants win, I wouldn't be surprised or shocked at all. Who cares? Next, Broncos at Patriots, guys. Patriots are going to win this game because the Broncos aren't very good. Next, Jets at Dolphins. Dolphins continue their winning ways because they've got a lowly opponent in the Jets. They took advantage of the fact that the Niners are starting their third-string team out there with all their injuries, but the Jets aren't much of a better team than the Niners' third-string team, as the Niners beat the Jets earlier this year. So give me the Dolphins continuing their winning ways. Ryan Fitzmagic continues with the magic. Packers at Buccaneers, guys. I expect a shootout in this one, but in the end, I think the Packers come out on top. Got Aaron Rodgers versus Tom Brady. I think this will be a great game. I think it'll be a close game. Vegas agrees with me as there's a 1-point spread on this one. Give me the Packers coming out on top just because the Packers have a little bit of a defense that I'm more confident in. Led by Jair Alexander, at that shutdown corner position that he is taking control of for the Pack. And I think they're a little bit more of a well-balanced team than the Buccaneers. I know that Tom Brady would love to bounce back with a W here this week, especially on prime time against the Pack, but I think Rodgers and the Pack get it done. Rams at 49ers, guys. Rams win this one. The 49ers are a shell of themselves. They are not the same team. Last week, a healthy Jimmy G got the boot in lieu of CJ. I get beat really hard. Beathard. Honestly, guys, this team's a mess. I love the Niners. We all know that, but they've got too many injuries to overcome right now, and they're certainly not going to do it against a Rams team who's starting to gel and click in a lot of different facets of the game. Next, we got the Chiefs at the Bills. Both teams needing a comeback victory here. I'm going to say that the Chiefs do it. The Chiefs are a proven team, right? They've got that Super Bowl championship under their belt. They got embarrassed last week by the Raiders. I don't think that happens 2 weeks in a row. I know the Bills are reeling. I know the Bills would like to show that they deserve to be, thought of as one of the better teams in the NFL right now and deserve to be the lead in that division. However, it's not going to happen this week against the Chiefs. Probably a close game, but I think the Chiefs come out on top. Cardinals at Cowboys, guys. The Cardinals, they're not the best team, but the Cowboys right now, they're just not going to have enough on offense to outweigh their terrible defense. The Cowboys now missing Dak Prescott, terrible injury. I feel for you, Cowboy fans. No one ever wants to lose their starting quarterback, as that means the season is most likely over, and I think it is. Andy Dalton has proven over the years he is not a legit starting quarterback, and it's not going to suddenly happen in Dallas for you Cowboy fans. You didn't have a defense to be spoken of, and your offense was saving you in games, especially in most occasions, it was mostly due. On more occasions, it was mostly due. Doesn't matter. What I'm trying to say, most of the time it was due to Dak Prescott's play. He's no longer there to save you. He's out for the year. Andy Dalton's not going to do it. Cardinals aren't the best team, but they're going to beat the Cowboys this week as they don't have enough weapons. Done. That's it for our head-to-head matchups, guys. We will go ahead and move it right along to our betting segment. That's right. Play a little music about money here. See if you can guess what song it is. First look, guys, that means I skimmed through and these ones jumped off the page at me. I'm giving you 11 bets this week. That's right. I have confidence that last week was a fluke. We're going to come back. We're going to get into our winning ways immediately, and I'm going to give you 11 options here. A lot of games that I like right off the rip. So let's not even waste any time. Bears +1 versus the Panthers. I thought this was a typo at first, guys. I don't understand how the Bears are not the favorites to win this matchup. I understand the Panthers looked good last week, but that was against the Atlanta Falcons. The Bears have only lost one game, and I know that they've had an easy schedule, and a lot of people have said, well, that's kind of a fake undefeated team until they got defeated. But the bottom line is, guys, the Bears are a better team than the Panthers. I just don't see Teddy Bridgewater and Mike Davis being enough against that Bears defense. I think Nick Foles does enough to get it done. If you're going to give me the Bears plus points against the lowly Panthers team without my boy Christian McCaffrey, I'm going to take the Bears every time. Titans -3.5 versus the Texans. Last year, the Titans won me a lot of money. I'm going to say that dips into this year. Vrabel loves to cover. 3.5 points isn't, I'd feel better if it was 3, but 3.5 isn't a lot. Texans aren't a good team. They got a good victory last week. The Titans are reeling right now. They're on a roll. I think they continue that. I think last week really helped them with their confidence, right? I know that they're undefeated. I know they've been winning, but I just think they looked really like that same team that went to the AFC Championship last week. So give me the Titans continuing their winning ways and continuing to dominate against a Texan team. -3.5 Titans. Packers -1, guys. I think this is a close game. I think that the Buccaneers can win. I favor the Packers. So if it's only 1 point, give me the Packers -1. Next, Rams -3. Guys, this is the Rams team that has been winning left and right, going against a 49er team who's been losing left and right. The Niners just lost by 40-something to 17 to the Miami Dolphins. The Rams are a better team than Miami Dolphins. I understand you can't play matchup week to week and go back and look at what teams have done. That's how you get yourself in trouble, as a matter of fact, in betting. However, the Rams should be more of a favorite than 3 points. The Niners didn't suddenly get all that defense back that they're missing to injury. They may have their offensive players. This may be a high-scoring game due to the offensive minds of Shanahan and McVay, but it's not going to be enough defensively for the Niners to stop that Rams offense. Rams should be favored by about 7.5 in this one. They're only got a 3-point spread, or a 3-point. Rams are only a 3-point favorite in this one. Jump on it while you can and while it's hot. That number is going to go up. Give me the Rams -3. Next, Chiefs -5, guys. Look, I could see this being a 3-point game and the Bills covering on this one. That's why it's lower on my list, but I still think that the Chiefs are a type of team that they get a bit of a chip on their shoulder, right? Embarrassed last week by the Raiders. They hadn't lost to the Raiders in, I don't know, 4 years or something like that, which they match up twice every year, as we know they're divisional opponents. So there's a lot of matchups in there that the Chiefs had not lost to the Raiders. I think they're embarrassed. I know Andy Reid likes to score and score often. I think he goes out and he makes a point against the Buffalo Bills. At the same time, the Bills had just lost a game recently, and I know they want to respond well, but they're just not the same type of pedigree of a team as the Chiefs are. Give me the Chiefs -5 versus the Bills. Next, Cardinals -1 versus Cowboys. This is not a typo. I understand the Cowboys have a great offense, but without Dak Prescott, that's the engine that makes that team go, right? So give me the Cardinals -1. I think the Cardinals win this game by about 3 or more, so I think you're pretty safe there. All right, moving on to our second take games, guys. That is the games that I had to think a little bit more about. We got some overs in this one. Last week, nearly every single over cashed in. This is the part of the year where the NFL starts to pull back on the reins, right? Right when you're sucked in. We got the live version going on here. We're going to go ahead and turn that off. We'll go back to some NFL music so I don't get flagged. Next, we've got the, like I said, guys, the overs cashed in every single matchup last week. This is about the time of the year where the NFL starts to pull back on the reins. Maybe a touchdown that should have been is a pass interference. Maybe there's a holding on a big game that sets you up on the 1-yard line. Suddenly, points start getting taken off of the board, usually around this time of year. However, these unders, or these point totals just are far under where they need to be. Totals points being scored at games right now are coming in the 80s, 70s, 80s, high 60s. So covering a 54, 55, 53 point spread or total point spread just isn't the same as it used to be as far as how challenging that is for teams to do. You'll see it happen this week, and some games will be in the under, but I've got a few games here that I think the over will cash in. First, the over at 54 in the Lions-Jaguars game. Neither of these teams really play defense. I think the Lions will definitely do their part scoring on the Jaguars. I think Gardner Minshew, I know they disappointed us last week, and I know he particularly did, but I think they get it done enough to cover 54 points. Over at 54, once again, at the Falcons-Vikings game. Neither of these teams play defense. Matt Ryan, Kirk Cousins will be throwing that ball all over the place. I think that cashes in at over 54 as well. And then finally, the over at 51 in the 49ers-Rams game. Mentioned it earlier, guys. These are two coaches, head coaches, that have widely been touted as two of the biggest or best offensive minds within the game. If they're going to scheme something up, it'll be against each other, right? So give me the over in that one, as I think the Niners get their part done, and the Rams, I know the Rams will do theirs and beat the Niners there. 51's just not that much to cover, and I'm confident about it. Third glance games, guys. Third glance games. This means I'm not that confident, but hey, last week we cashed in 2 out of the 4, so we went 50% in the third glance game. So Steelers -3.5 versus the Browns. Said it once before, I'm going to say it again. The Browns are going to have to prove me wrong 2 weeks in a row before I jump on that Cleveland Browns bandwagon. I'm not there yet. The Steelers are undefeated, and they look good as they led their way to a Claypool mania last week, where that rookie had, I think, 4 touchdowns in a record-breaking game for himself. Give me the Steelers finding their offense with their stout defense. Once again, 3.5. We'll cover it versus the Browns. Lions -3 versus the Jaguars. Guys, I already talked about it. I don't believe in the Jaguars. They screwed us last week. We're going to get them this week. Give me the Lions -3 beating the Jags. That is it for our betting segment. Go ahead and pause this music here, and we will set something else up. Boom da bam, bigga da boom. Next, we have our daily fantasy advice, guys. I am going to give that to you right now. Last week, I gave you 6 top 10 finishers and 1 number 1. This week, let's shoot for better. That's actually towards the bottom end of how we've done this year so far. Quarterbacks, 3 of them. Here we go. Aaron Rodgers. Yes, obviously, he's always in your top quarterback selection, but you're going to want to spend the capital on him this week as he has a plus matchup. Vegas has this as one of the highest overs of the week. That means they expect points to be scored in this one as well. And if there are points to be scored in a Packer matchup, Aaron Rodgers is going to be in the thick of it. Matt Stafford, I just mentioned it. Jaguars defense isn't good. Give me Matt Stafford throwing all over him. He's a cheaper option for you as well. And finally, we haven't talked about him that much this year on the podcast, but Kyler Murray has been looking good in fantasy. I think he gets back to what he did in weeks 1 and 2 as he goes against a porous defense in the Dallas Cowboys. You'll probably hear me talk about offensive players against the Dallas Cowboys every week because that Cowboy defense is embarrassing. Sorry, Dallas. Next, running backs. Kareem Hunt. Last week, he exploded on the scene as he took over for Nick Chubb, the injured Nick Chubb. He'll continue to do it this week as he has a plus matchup. Again, Mike Davis. He's a guy that's found himself last week. I think the Carolina Panthers have finally figured out how they have to use him. He has a plus matchup himself. Give me Mike Davis in this one. And then finally, for the running backs, Aaron Jones. If the Packers are going to score a lot of points, it's going to be through Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Jones. The Aarons do a lot of their scoring there. I have no doubt Jones will get in the offense or get in the end zone at least once. Wide receivers, Calvin Ridley. Without Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley has become the number 1 wideout option in Atlanta. That'll continue this week as he goes against the poor Vikings defense. He gets a touchdown or 2. Robert Woods, mentioned before, 49ers defense is not able to bring a healthy team 1 type starting defense. They're about their 3rd string type defense here. Robert Woods is going to eat them up. I like him going against whoever they have out there at cornerback this week for the 49ers. Stephon Diggs, the Buffalo Bills are going to bounce back. This should be a close game and a bit of a shootout possibly against the Chiefs here. If the Bills are going to score and they're going to keep up with that Chiefs offense, which I think they will definitely try to do, then they're going to do it through Stephon Diggs. Give me him, and he's a lower costing option this week as well. Finally, tight ends. I'm trying to give you cheaper tight end options here. Obviously, you're going to want to start your George Kittles. Obviously, you'll want to start your big name, Travis Kelce, Zach Ertz, stuff like that. But TJ Hawkinson has a plus matchup. Start him. Jonnu Smith, if you haven't heard of him, he's the starting tight end for the Tennessee Titans. Start him. I finally finish out this list with George Kittle because, yes, he's obviously always an option. With the Niners being as hurt as they are, losing as much as they have been, this is where Shanahan goes back to the basics and gets the ball in the hands of his playmakers. Look for Shanahan and the offense of the 49ers to scheme every opportunity they can to get that ball in George Kittle's hands. Could be a career day for him against the Rams. That is it for us here on the Green Zone, guys. Lots of green going on. We got the green behind me. We got the green from the Joker. We're going to get in that green. It's pretty obvious, right? Love you guys. Have a good time. Make your money. Don't complain to me when you have too much money. You don't know what to do with it.